Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Binky here today, and we are on the final fragrance of Elorea, the Elements. Yep, this is the final one, and I think it's fire. And in Korean, it is Lee. It's actually like an S, but in Korean, it's either like an L or kind of like an R sound, but not really. And so I think it's Lee. Lee. Very difficult for an English speaker to kind of grasp, just because it's not in our language as much and at all. So that's why. But this one will cost you $135 for 50 milliliters or $210 for 100. So there you go. And the Korean ingredient is Jeju lime. But so the description is unique, alluring, and mysterious. This intriguing scent begins with a light citrus and freshness of elemi, balanced with complex floral notes of iris, violet, and camilla. I always want to say camilla because everything is Spanish to me, even when it's not. I know I do that at work and everybody's like, that's not how you say it. I'm like, I know. As the seductive florals begin to settle, amber, roasted tonka, and leather warm up. Sandalwood and akigala wood add a creamy finish to the addictive scent. Huh, nice. So the notes are top, lime, lemon, elemi, lavender, heart, iris, violet, camilla. I know I want to say camilla so badly. And then base, leather, amber, roasted tonka, sandalwood, and akigala wood. So a couple notes I'm not as familiar with. I don't really know camilla that much. As a floral, akigala wood, don't know. Maybe a Korean thing. And elemi, I don't really know. So lots of new fun things in here that I am going to enjoy. So let's try it out. 2, that's like shooting off where it shouldn't. And there. Okay. Ooh, so the first thing that really comes out is the citrus. That citrus is coming out. Like, that is it. It's just, if you know lemon and lime like I do, ooh, yeah, it smells like the margarita has just come out. You know, I love Mexican food. So you're like putting some lemon and lime, usually lime, on your food. Yep. So I know that crisp scent of lemon and lime. Because usually in Mexican food that's a little bit more authentic, they tend to use lime more than lemon. But there you go. This isn't a cooking class. So yeah, I'm definitely getting a lot of that lemon and lime coming through. That is like the first thing, is that heavy citrus, which is an interesting take on fire because it's such an easy thing to go straight to like smoke or, you know, so this like that, any kind of like smoky scent. And this isn't how they're portraying fire at all. Like, no. Kind of like earth. I think their viewpoint on certain elements are very interesting and not necessarily the take that most people would take them. And that's why I like this. So there's this lemon and lime with a floral coming through. And it most definitely is probably iris. I'm getting iris. I know there was a couple other floral notes. Let's see. Violet. That's what it is. I love violet. I just love violet, and I don't know why I didn't call it, but it is just absolutely lovely. Camellia is the other one, and honestly, I don't know that one quite as much. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm sure I've smelled it, but it's not one that I, you know, have tons of perfumes with or experience with. But ooh, that's lovely. The florals just combine together so well with the citrus, and like I said, I just would be citrus with floral. I mean, yes, it happens, but it's like a little spritz. This was very, very citrus heavy, but I could see that the florals are starting to slowly come forward, and it is so lovely. Oh wow, those florals are gorgeous. And the citrus is still there. It's just, it was the main star, and now it's pulling back for the flowers to take their final bow. And I kind of like that. So let's try it on the shirt. Ooh, on the shirt, it's beautiful. So it has this like spicy floral note. It's like the notes come together for this beautiful floral with a little bit of spicy. And then you get that beautiful lemon lime just simmering in the background. This one is not what I thought it would be at all. This is very gentle for fire. This is not what I would expect for the element fire. And that's what I kind of, like I said, I respect about the Elements collection is earth was very much earth. I mean, it was heavy, it was plodding. But even still, it wasn't the notes that I would expect from earth as much. I got where it went, but this whole set has been kind of like a surprise. Not what you thought it was going to be. and it's not. There's just nothing in it that's fiery enough to make you go, whoa. You know, it doesn't have any smokiness. It doesn't have any pepper in it. You know, there's no mezcal. Because if you put that with some lemon or some lime with this, I'd be thirsty. I'd be thirsty. But it doesn't have any of that. You know, it doesn't have anything that symbolizes that fire, that charcoal, anything. That's not their take on it. And I kind of appreciate that they didn't go with the obvious route, if that makes sense. It's like, I do get a little bit of that spiciness with it. It's not spicy, but the florals together, there's a little bit of a zing to it. And then you put the citruses on top. And it creates the zingy note. And it's very interesting. It's fire in a different way. It's a contained fire. And that's what it is. Everything in this set is contained. It's the element, but you're almost looking at it like it's in a jar and seeing its destruction in that jar, or its power. It's not destruction. Sometimes it can be, but it's power in a jar, and you're looking at it and going, ooh. But it's contained. Almost like one of those water vessels, like water globes. So you can see the fire in there. You can see you can see heaven in there. You can see all of it, but it's contained and it can't hurt you. And that's what's interesting, because it stays in this bubble, but it never becomes destructive, if that makes sense. Wow. This one's lovely. This one's beautiful. Ooh. I can see myself getting a bottle of this. I know, spoiler. We'll see where it goes, though, because sometimes they can morph a little bit or lose a little bit of speed. And what I mean by that is I adored Heaven at first. Heaven was phenomenal. And then by the second hour, it was kind of like, oh, you know, it wasn't where it once was. It lost its individuality a little bit. Beautiful, though, for the first 2 hours. This one, though, interesting. And I still love Heaven. It was delicious. The drink was, and the scent. So I don't want to think that I didn't, because I actually really love that one. But I'm curious to see where it morphs. Okay, so it has been about an hour, and it's still right in its beautiful pocket. I love where this one has gone. It's definitely not as strong as it was at initial blast, but you could definitely smell it. And what I love about this is, again, it's not obvious. It has a little bit of this spice. And I was doing some research because I don't know all these notes. And elemi. That's how you would say the one word is elemi. And what it is a fresh, spicy, and slightly lemon aroma derived from the resin of the Canarium luzonicum tree. I hope I said that right. So it's a versatile ingredient that adds brightness and complexity to various fragrance types. So they'll use it in woodsy, spicy, citrus scents. And I love this because I was wondering what that beautiful spicy note was, and I'm like, that's not from the lemon or lime, and that sure as heck isn't from the floral. I was like, okay, that's why I didn't know elemi that well. So what it is now is it's settling. The citrus has burned off a little bit. It really isn't the main component anymore. It's kind of moved on, at least on my chemistry. It's like, bye, you know, it's had its heyday and it's ready to take its nap. And you still get a little bit of that spiciness, but you're getting those florals. Those florals are so beautiful. So the florals meld together in such a beautiful way. And then what's coming through is this zing of spiciness from the elemi. Oh, So it's still there. There's still that slight crispness of citrus in it, but not the lime. The lime is no longer there. It's almost like a lemon, a light lemon now. Before it was the star, now it's not. It's you get the florals with a light spicy lemon. That has to be the Elorea, and I have never been aware of that note, and now I'm obsessed with it. I'm telling you, because it is just fantastic. And what's happening is there's this beautiful creaminess coming through, this beautiful creamy with the tonka and the sandalwood. Now, if you know my channel, if you're one of the people who watch like a lot of the videos, you know how much I love vanilla, tonka bean, and sandalwood. I love that combination. You can't go wrong. Well, you can, but a lot of the time you can't go wrong with that, and it's one of my favorite note series. It's just, I know it's basic, I love it, and it's starting to come through here. Not so much the vanilla, it's the florals with the Elorea, but it's the sandalwood. It's the creaminess of that and a little bit of the tonka bean coming through. And oh my gosh, it's glorious. But let's try it on the clothing. Ooh, that is strange in a good way. So I think the lime is still a little bit there, but it's the Elorea is really prominent. And there's like a woodsy scent to it that's just a creamy woodsy scent. But it definitely is more like boom than on the chemistry. The chemistry is more floral and is just softer. But when you move around, you have it on here and you have it on here, and they mix together just beautifully. Oh my gosh. This is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. Love it. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wear this happily. Even though it's hot outside, I am ready for the fire. And I am going to sit with this and go run some errands and run around with some fire on. There you go. Enjoy the day a little bit. And I am going to come back in 4 hours. Okay, so it has been 5 hours and I am still smelling fire. It is just wonderful. This one stays with you, and I think part of it is the way that the notes are constructed. It's just, they're strong without being overwhelming, if that makes sense. And the Elorea, which I just learned today, I love it. I'm sure I've smelled it before, but it's very prominent in this. It's kind of a citrusy. There is lemon and lime in this, and you still get a little bit of that lemon, but the Elorea adds to that from my understanding, and it adds a little bit of the zing of spiciness that breaks the citrus and floral profile a bit. But it is gorgeous. I'm smelling it all in this little bubble, and it is fantastic. But let's try it. Very light on the skin. So if you like a stronger scent, it's going to do better on the clothing than on the skin, but that's usually the case with most perfumes. So I'm getting a citrusy, the Elorea, I'm getting that on the skin, and a little bit of musk. But again, that tends to be my chemistry, but the musk is very light. It isn't strong. It's the perfect blend. Sometimes my skin could pull musk a little too strong. Not the case here. And the citrusy notes just cut through it along with the spiciness, so it doesn't overtake it, and it's just perfect. So I think the majority of the scent is actually coming from my shirt, but let's try it out. Ooh, that's so nice. So I'm getting the floral more here. So it definitely is violet forward, with a little bit of iris on me, but really violet. And Elorea is just cutting through it. It is glorious. Yeah, it's so glorious. Now you do get little bits of the leather as the base note, but what's interesting about Elorea is the leather is always just perfectly put in there. It doesn't. Sometimes leather can be overwhelming or really bring a fragrance profile really down. They do a very light hint of it where it just adds a little bit of earthiness to it. And it really, the leather never really came out very strong on me. It was just perfect. It's just perfect. It's just like an underlying thing. I, on myself, am mostly getting that violet and iris and elemi coming through. Wow, that's beautiful. With a little bit of the musk on my chemistry, but it's just gorgeous. This one's so good. This one is so good. The longevity is better, but with Elorea, I tend to find, it's best to spruce them up every 3 to 4 hours if you want their full, like, hurrah, But with this one, I actually still smell it very much in my personal scent. And so I would keep this one going for a while. It would probably need to be spritzed around 4 or 5 hour mark, which is now if you wanted to upkeep it, but I can definitely still smell it. And the thing is with this one is that it stayed this beautiful citrusy scent with that beautiful floral and a little hint of that leather to just kind of ground it a little bit, but that spiciness is what really makes it just gorgeous. The floral, the citrus, that spice just cutting through. It is just gorgeous. And then when you get really close to it, that slight little undercurrent of creaminess. Oh, this is so good. I think people will be confused a little bit by this Elements collection, especially this one, because again, when people think of fire, they think of strong, smoky scents. They want that smoke. They want that chili. They want that pepper. They want something that we stereotypically think about as fire, but that's not what this brand is. So I just want to point this out. This isn't T-Rex from Zoologist. Now that's fire. That's not what this is. Elorea, from what I've experienced, is very contained. It's always contained in this. And that's how they are. And I think that is more of the Korean influence, which basically isn't loud and bombastic as far as scents go. I don't think that is the purpose of this. It's not to make everybody go, whoa, that's not it. It's not to get compliments or people coming up to you or people in the elevator going, whoa, that's a lot. That's not the purpose of these scents. These are supposed to be gentle. They're supposed to be you scents. And that's what I like about Elorea. So if you don't like really loud scents or you just want something gentle, Elorea may be the house for you because it's always contained and beautiful. And with this Elements collection, as I said earlier, it's always contained. It's almost like these elements in a glass globe, one of those snow globes. It can't really hurt you. The element is locked up, but it's contained and you could look at it and just be in wonder of it. That's how I would describe these scents. But if I were going to rate this one, I would give this one a 9 out of 10. I love this one. I love this one. I don't know why I didn't smell it in the shop, because I would have walked out with too many bottles. So that's why. It's like, I'll take my hazy blue and go. But this is full bottle worthy for me, and I will be getting it. And they do have sales here and there, so I will wait for a sale, but I will be buying fire because this is fantastic. This is amazing. Yes, full bottle worthy to me. Not one I'd wear at this time of year. This to me is more of a fall winter scent, but ooh, it is glorious. And some may say, and I can see this, I can see how some may say this may lean a little bit more masculine out of the collection of the Elements. That and Earth, I think, would both lean a little bit more masculine. I can see how some would say that with this one. I would wear the heck out of this. Again, these are all unisex. Wear what you want. But if this is considered more masculine leaning, sign me up because I will be wearing it. This one is one of the highlights of Elorea. Big, big thumbs up. So now, what I'm going to do is bid adieu to those who are not interested in the cultural note. And I will say we will be heading on to the next grouping, and that is Timeless Legacy is the last 4 Elorea scents. And so I'm really excited to start with this collection coming real soon. And so we will bid adieu to each other and to the Elements collection. Okay, so this is one of my favorite experiences in Korea, number 8. Now this one's a little bit difficult, and when I say favorite experience, I say this carefully, but I think to fully understand a culture, which you're not going to when you are only there for 10 to 14 days, you're not going to really learn a culture that much, especially with the jet lag. because the jet lag is real when you go to Asia from here. So this one is a sensitive topic and one I was going back and forth with, but I think it's really important because I really care about cultures when I visit and history. And this is a big event that happened in Korean history. And this had to do with the occupation of Japan in Korea. There is a specific museum that is in Seoul. It's a little bit further out and a little bit more difficult to go to, and there's not necessarily a lot in that area to do, perhaps, in comparison to certain areas of Seoul. But I recommend going. It is very affordable and sometimes a little bit shocking, but definitely worth seeing if you're interested in Korean culture and understanding the culture a little bit more. So, this is the Sodaemun Prison History Museum. So, yes, it is actually the prison in which during the occupation, the Japanese occupation, that people who were basically patriots of Korea basically were taken to this prison, and the Japanese tried to extract information from them in unsuitable ways. So basically, I won't get into the full history, but basically it's very extensive. But basically Japan kind of took over, and because of that, in a lot of ways Korean culture they were trying to erase it. Of course, this is not a place where you go to be happy and smile and go, yay, this is a very heavy topic. They basically have like mannequins that show the torture that happened to the Korean people and the different ways that they used these torture devices to get the information from these people. And all these people were trying to do was save their culture. They were guilty by keeping their own language books or their own history books, and so they were hidden, and there's people fighting against the occupation. Unfortunately, there was really no way they were going to win Korea back, but there was people who were not willing to let it go, and I think most countries wouldn't allow that. So you go through this prison, and it's actually the real prison. And it's a very dark sense to it, a very foreboding sense to it. It's the old structure. What happened there. These things actually happened within this building. So it's not a good feel. You may want to go on off hours or the weekend. During the weekday, there's a lot of school students going there from Korea because it's part of their history, and they do need to, they need to know about their history. So it is crowded with kids later on, so you can go, or earlier on, so you can go later on in the day. If you want a little bit more of a quiet experience, you're also allowed to walk outside the yard, and you can see beautiful Korean flag, a huge Korean flag up against the side of the prison, which I really liked because it was almost like, here's our Korean identity. It is on this wall. This is Korea. And I kind of liked that a little bit. It was a little bit of kind of like, here's defiance. This is our identity. You can't wipe it out. And that's the thing about Korean people. They're very proud of their culture and their heritage. And they've had a lot of difficult times in that area throughout history. And this was probably one of the darkest times. So you're going through this museum, and I think the flag on the wall was pretty amazing, but I think one of the most depressing areas of the prison, all of it is, but there's a room with a bunch of pictures where basically people have their mugshots for just being Korean and being proud of being Korean. So you'll see their mugshots, and the whole room is covered in all of the mugshots of the Korean people who disappeared once they got into Sodaemun prison, and they never came out. So these photos are put up in this beautiful room of like memory of all these people who sacrificed their lives to basically stand up for their country. And this is very simplified, but I really encourage, if you're interested in Korean history, to please read about this. It's a very sad, dark period. So yeah, there you go. So I didn't know how to approach this one so much because everybody's like, ugh. But I feel that if you're going to go to a country, sometimes it's good to see some historical points, and this one was a big one for me, and I wanted to see this because, I really enjoy studying Korean history and understanding the culture, and to really understand the Korean culture in a lot of ways, this is a big point. So yeah, there you go. So that is my number 8 experience that I'm like, must go see when in Korea. And until next time, when we get into the timeless legacy, I will see you later, my friend. Bye.